All right, good evening, everyone. The stream is live now, and we're about to get started. Let me be sure that we are connected. Okay. All right, guys, welcome to today's class. Um, Promises to be as productive as the previous ones, and thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. We'll be getting started right away. It is 6:05 p.m. here, and hopefully we have a good flow today and the network is good to us. All right, so we continue from where we stopped yesterday, and I'm just going to open the file that we worked with. I sent you guys these pictures, the ones that contain, this one that contain the cup in with white background, and it has it also in the blue background. And I wanted you to remove the background using the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. Okay, so I hope you guys did it. If you did it, you can send your result to the group. I have not shown you how to export your design, and I need to show you that so that every time you do stuff you can take it out of Photoshop easily, so you don't have to use screenshots. And I think I should just start from that because it's very important. No matter how little what you do is you should be able to export them. Okay, so we'll be getting started right away. Let me make a little change to what I'm showing you so that it can go well. Hold on, hold on. Okay, I'll just confirm if what I'm doing you can see it. Okay, you can hardly see this. Okay, make it even bigger, and let's check. Okay, so I'll need to make a little change to my stream settings so that I can see my screen well. All right. Okay, please confirm that you can hear if you are online. Confirm that you can hear. All right. Okay. So I wanted you to make a quick selection with the magic wand tool, the object selection tool, and the quick selection tool. Today, before we get started, I'm going to show you how to export. There are a number of ways by which you can export your design. However, when you have so many artboards like this, it is possible that you don't want to export everything together. In fact, there is hardly any reason why you would want to export everything together like this. So what you do is you select the name of the artboard. So this cop2, for example, if I want to export, if I want to export the artboard that contains this blue background and the cup, I'll select the name of that artboard. All right, I'm zooming in so that you can see clearly. I select the name here and click on it. Watch what happens on my screen. The moment I click on the name of the artboard, it will equally select it on my layers panel here, this cup2. So I can click it right here or click it out here as well. Watch me do it from out. Once I click it out here, it will select it here. And if also, hold on please, if also I click it from the layers panel here, it will also mark the artboard as selected. Any of the two ways will work. So what you do afterwards is you go to file, you go to export, and then you go to artboard to files. Okay, you go to artboard to files. The other option you can use is save for web, but whenever you use this save for web, it will export everything you can see on your screen. Okay, to put everything together as one image and export it. Okay, and you don't need that because you don't want your artboard to go as one image. If you want to export everything at once and have it separately, you will have to select the name of all the artboards and export, or the artboards that you want to export, and come to this place where it says artboard to files, artboards to files. So you can export each artboard separately as a separate image. So I've selected just one, so it's going to export that cop2, that artboard named cop2. So I'll click on artboard to files, and then it brings up this box, this dialog box where we have interaction. So the first thing is the destination. It says, where should I save this image? So normally it would automatically select the destination, the folder in which the document is saved. You know, when we started this project, we saved it in a document, in a folder. And on my laptop here, it is, the name of the folder is design. Okay, so it will automatically select that folder. However, if you don't want it to be in that folder, you can equally browse and look for another folder where you want it to go. Okay, so let's say for example I want to put it inside PS Immersion, Photoshop Immersion. I'll just double click on this folder and press OK. So look at the destination has changed. The PS Immersion is inside of design. It's a folder inside this folder. It's this PS Immersion is a folder inside design folder, which is also a folder inside desktop. Okay, so you know how these addresses work on laptops. So that is the destination. The next thing is file name prefix. So it will ask you what should be the prefix of this file name. You can leave it as is. It will also be the name by which you save, that you have saved the document, the project. If you look up here, you look at the name, it is Photoshop Immersion Class 2. That is the name of the folder, I mean of the project. So it will make it, it will copy that name into your prefix box automatically. Now if you leave this as this and you click on run, it will export it, and the name of that file will be Photoshop Immersion Class 2, and then the name of the artboard, Cop 2. So to put this Cop 2, to just affix that Cop 2 to it during the export. One thing I do is I'll leave it this way and I press space on my keyboard. I give it space. So what that does is that when it is exporting, it will just put hyphen and then put the name of the artboard. Okay. If you don't want the prefix, you can equally delete it, right? You can delete the prefix. When you export your file, it will only save it by the name of the artboard. Okay, so I'll leave the prefix here and then put a space, and then we will export it. The next thing is include overlapping areas. You don't want to do this. Okay, then the next thing is artboard content only. Yes, we want to check this, that it must be artboard content only. Then it will give you this checkbox, export selected artboards. You know, we before we came here, we already clicked on the name of the artboard, so we have selected it. In a case where you have like 10 artboards on your laptop, I mean on your project, and you don't want to export everything, let's say you just want to export artboard 1, 2, 5, and 7. So you select, before you come here, you select artboard 1, you hold your control button, you select artboard 2, select artboard 5, you select artboard 7, right? And then you come here. So when this is checked, this export selected artboards, when it is checked, it will only export those artboards that you have selected. It will not add the other artboards. But if you uncheck this place, if you uncheck this place, what it is telling you, that what you are telling the computer or Photoshop is that export every artboard in this document. So it will run all of them. But what we want to do is to export it just the one we have selected. I hope you all can still hear me. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I believe you can hear me. The network is telling me that it is excellent. All right. So what this says is that you should export only the artboard that I have selected. Now, it will ask you, should I include the background in the export? You select yes. Otherwise, if the only background you have in your design is the one with which you create the document from start, when you are creating the document, there's a place where you select the background. If that is the only background in your document and every other thing that is transparent, then your document will be exported as a transparent document. So you want to check this always. Then the final thing is the file type. I always export as PNG24, but it is possible that your client wants the design as a PDF file or as a JPEG file, sometimes as a PSD file. PSD means Photoshop document. So you may want to export just one artboard as a separate Photoshop document, so that even though here you have 10 artboards, when you open that one that you just exported, it will open as a separate Photoshop document on its own. It will not carry the remaining um, artboards with it, and it will still be editable. So in this case, we are going to use we are going to use PNG24. Once all of this is done, you just click on run, and then Photoshop will select just that artboard and process your export. And when it is done, it will tell you that I am done with this. Can you see? It will say artboards to file was exported to, it will give you the directory: C users, me Ablad, documents, designs, Photoshop immersion, and then okay. All right, so you just press that okay, and then you can locate that file inside of that folder. All right, so what you do now is you open your Explorer and locate that artboard. So you locate the artboard. You locate the file in your folder, and according to my export, it was sent to Photoshop. You have it in here, PS Immersion, and then the name of that particular artboard is Photoshop Immersion Class 2, Cop 2, and then we have it here. So if you double click now, you can see your export. All right. So that's how you export what you have done. Okay, that's how you export what you have done. So let's continue from there. We come back here. Let me be sure you guys can see me. All right, good. So right now, what you want to do next is I've asked you guys to experiment with the selection tool here, the object selection, quick selection, magic wand. So to speed up our class, I've told us we will not be using the crop and the slice tool and these ones for now. The next thing we want to work on is the brush tool. So let me explain how it works. I'll drop it now, and then I'll click on cop. I'll um, press this plus button, and then it will give me another artboard. Now because this is getting too long, I'll delete that and then add another artboard under the first one. So where we have my head, we're going to click on it, press the plus under it, and then we have this artboard under it. So what we do now is that, now look at this. Let me quickly show you something. Look at the arrangement of this artboard. I'll delete this two that I just added plus. When you click on the name of an artboard like this, it will select its position on the layers panel. Okay, I press Ctrl 0 to see everything on the screen at once. Okay, so it will select the name of that artboard and its position will be clear to you. So this one is the first artboard. If I add any artboard, clicking on any of these plus signs, watch what happens on the layer panel here. I'll click on it now, and then it will create another artboard on top of the existing one. It will not put it on top of the last one. It will arrange it based on this one that you put here. Okay, so it will, wherever you create it is where it will stay. Logically, you would have been thinking, okay, maybe I'm just adding this one, why doesn't it append to the final one, to the previous one? But no, it will append to the one from which you are creating it. So we have this artboard now. Now we want to work with the brush tool. Okay, the brush tool is like, you are like a painter on Photoshop. You have your white artboard, which is like your canvas, and the brush is what you use to paint colors on your design, on your canvas. Okay, the brush is what you use. So from now, you watch what happens on my screen. I am going to bring in an image, or before we do that, I'm going to create a new layer. This artboard has no layer in it, so if you are exporting this artboard now, it will just be white screen. Okay, now I'm going to add a new layer on an artboard. If you are not importing an image or anything that you have just downloaded, what you do is click on this plus sign at the bottom of the layers panel, this one, plus. You know, this is the layers panel, so if you click a plus here, it is telling Photoshop to create a layer, right? It is telling Photoshop to create a new layer. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to take the brush. So if I take this brush like this, it will give me this round stuff, this round head brush. Now this roundness is how big whatever you paint will look like. This is another point where you learn about the foreground color and the background color. Now the foreground color is what the brush will paint. If you look at this place, you see that my foreground color is black. So if I click with the brush now, it will paint black, right? It will paint black. If I continue to click, it gets darker and darker. The computer is smart. Our Photoshop is smart, so to say. If you are an artist and you take a brush and you are painting on your canvas, there is something called brush pressure. That pressure is is reflected in what you paint. If you only use the tip of the brush to touch the canvas, the paint will be lighter than when you hold the brush and press it deep, press it hard on the canvas. Like when I was in school, my friends used to make fun of me the way I used to hold my pen. I did not really like writing because I used to hold, even up to now, I hold my pen as if I'm fighting with the paper. I hold it very tight. So you can almost see what I'm writing from the back of the paper. So that pressure, the computer can equally know it from the way you are pressing your brush right now. So if I click once, it adds just little paint. And I click two without moving, it gets darker. When I click 3 without moving, it gets darker. If I continue to click, it gets dark and dark and dark and dark. And you can see that the center will be dark, the edges will be softer. Okay, but that's because I'm using a hard brush, I mean a soft brush. This brush has a lot of settings. Okay, if you look up here, this place also works as your properties panel for any tool that you are holding. That is why when we were here yesterday, when we were here, we could see this sign, we could see the plus, we could see the minus, we could see this one and all of that. When we were here, we could see all of those things. So any setting that you can apply to your brush will be up here in this panel, this little one. But that's not the only place it is. I'm going to click on my brush tool now. That's not the only place where you can find those settings. As this brush is here now, if you right click on this page or on the artboard, it will give you those settings. The first thing that you see, I right clicked to get this little box that you can see right now. The first thing you see is the brush direction or the brush shape. So I can make some changes here. I can shift the brush from the edge. Now once you do this setting, you can move your mouse out without clicking. You see that the shape of your brush has now changed from the a proper circle to an oval shape. You can make it bigger, you can do like this, you can make it like this standing horizontally. You can change the direction for it to be, I mean it was standing vertically, but now it becomes horizontal, right? So look at the way it looks right now. If I click like this, the brush will paint like this. Now if I don't want that, I can right click, you right click again, and you can change this thing. You can use this one to expand from normal circle to an oval or whatever you want. Okay, and this is important in some cases when you want something to, when you want to draw like a shadow. Let me quickly show you that. Look at this shape that I just drew. Let me bring a cup in here. I bring this cup here. Now look at what that cup looks like. Does it not look like it's floating? Right, it looks like the cup is floating because we have used that brush to draw like a shadow under it. Can you see? So it doesn't look just like the brush is let me turn off this shadow. Without the shadow, it just looks like a brush, I mean a cup that is just somewhere, it's just on a white background. But with a shadow, it looks more like 3D, as if it's floating. So right now, if we just say that every time our brush, I'll select the brush tool. If we say every time our brush tool should be round like this. Now imagine that you want to, I'll turn off this layer and add another layer. You may always have to add a layer when you want to use the brush tool, but it's not always, because you also use it for things like the layer mask. So if I add another layer and I draw it and I say the brush tool should always be round, and I want to make a shadow, this is what the shadow will look like. This is not a shadow, this looks ugly. Okay, let me be sure that you guys can see me. Okay, good. So this is not a shadow, so that is why you may want to change your brush settings to stuff like this. I may change the shape. If I change the shape like this, I can now come out to draw a shadow. I'll put it under this thing, and then we have it this way. If it is too long, I can transform it. Now please follow these things. It may get confusing a little because This stuff are linked one to another. So you may have to learn another thing while learning one thing. As this brush is long now, this shadow is too long. It's longer than the shape of the cup itself. We may want to make it smaller. So what you do is you transform it. One thing you can do, remember yesterday I showed you that you can show transform controls and turn off transform controls. So if you click on this show transform controls, please follow my mouse. What you are trying to do is that you can now control it from the nodes, the corners. So I'm going to click from here and drag down. Can you see that it's moving, it's leaving its position? So if I don't want that to happen, I will hold Alt on my keyboard while dragging. Alt button, Alt. If you are using a MacBook, it will be options. So I will hold it while dragging down, and then it becomes like this. It is scale from both sides, from all the sides, and it will maintain the proportion. Also, for it to maintain the proportion, please look for